Hello there guys, and welcome to another one of my real life range tests. Today, as you might have guessed already, we are going to take this little beauty, in my view, out for a spin. But before we do, let's take a closer look at it, talk about its technical specs and how this range test will be performed in case you are new to the channel. So, this is the brand new Volkswagen ID.5 GTX. What is it? Well, the ID.5 is the coupe version of the ID.4, which is the C segment SUV, electric SUV from Volkswagen. And as you can see, the rear of the car has a sloping roofline that's supposed to give it a more sporty design, because up front things are exactly the same in terms of looks. So the GTX also comes with a couple of interesting quirks and features, like this setup for the tail lights, a couple of badges here and there, and a spoiler at the back. This car actually doesn't look that bad overall. You also get 21-inch wheels like we do on this model, and it actually looks pretty good. Now, the ID.5 range is made up of about 4 models. You have the ID.5 Pro, you have the ID.5 Pro Performance, and you have the GTX. So it's actually 3 models. No matter which one you pick, you get the same battery pack in the floor of the car, and that's a 77 kilowatt hour usable capacity for the battery. And then the variations will depend on the power the car has. Now, the Pro version has 174 horsepower, the Pro Performance has 204 horsepower, and the GTX has 299 horsepower and 460 newton meters of torque. And the GTX is also the only one that has all-wheel drive, so it has one electric motor on each axle, unlike the other 2 versions which only come with rear-wheel drive. So before we set off, these are the specs. So 77 kilowatt hours and 299 horsepower. This is how the interior looks like. It's actually pretty nice. And on the GTX model, you get different seats up front, as you can see. It actually look pretty good. You get a special steering wheel and all sorts of details that are supposed to make it a bit feel a bit more sporty and more high performance than the rest of the models. Now, Volkswagen says that you should be able to cover up to 480 kilometers with a single charge with this car, and it is the one with the lowest range expectancy out of all 3 of them, because it has the most power in the same battery, and it's also heavier. Right now we have the battery at 98%, and it shows an estimate of 373 kilometers of range left. Since we started the car, I covered 7 kilometers at an average speed of 21 kilometers an hour, and the average energy consumption is 26.2 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers covered. But those figures will change. We just started this trip. So in case you're new to the channel, the way I do my real life range test is on a series of B roads, on the highway, and inside the city. I think the inner city test is the most important one, so that's where I will be doing 100 kilometers to see exactly how the car fares. What I'm going to do now is reset the trip computer and set off on a series of B roads to see how the car handles and how the range changes and what kind of energy consumption figures we get. Then we're going to hop on the highway, and then I'm going to finish off the test with 100 kilometers done around town. So stay tuned. I'm going to do an update once we finish the B-road section, and we'll see how we do from there on. So we just finished the B-road section of our range test. Let's see what kind of energy consumption figures we got. As you can see, we covered 43 kilometers at an average speed of 64 kilometers an hour. Well, actually, when I pulled over, it was 66 kilometers an hour with an energy consumption of 14.5 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers covered. Now, doing a bit of math, that means considering the battery has a usable capacity of 77 kilowatt hours, you should be able to cover about 530 kilometers at this pace, which is not bad at all. As you can see, we still have 89% of the battery left and an estimated range left of 349 kilometers an hour. Kilometers, I beg your pardon. So the exterior temperature is pretty high, 27.5 degrees Celsius, but we are running on efficient tires, so that should help out in dealing with the weather. The AC was turned on all the time and I only used normal driving mode or comfort mode. That said, we're gonna hop on the highway with my trusty GoPro right here, and we're gonna do 130 kilometers an hour for about 50 kilometers to see what kind of energy consumption figures we get with this car. Let's go. Okay guys, so we finished the highway section of our real life range test with the Volkswagen ID.5 GTX. Let's see what kind of results we got. So as I said, about 50 kilometers covered. The average speed was 125 kilometers an hour when I pulled off the highway. I kept it at 130, but there was some road work. I had to slow down for a bit. Also, the energy consumption isn't 20.7, it's 21. It was higher when I pulled off the highway. So doing a little bit of math, that should add up to about 366 kilometers of range at this kind of speed, which is more than enough if you ask me. And here we go, we still have 73% of the battery charge left for another estimated 280 kilometers at this pace. That said, I'm about to enter the city and I'm going to start a loop of 100 kilometers to see what kind of energy consumption figures we get inside the city. So stay tuned. Okay guys, so welcome to day 4 of testing the Volkswagen ID.5 GTX. Unfortunately, the inner city range test was a bit of a failure because I forgot to reset a certain trip computer. So I did my usual tour. I covered about 50 kilometers, but then the since start trip computer reset because I parked the car for more than 2 hours. And as you know, as usual, when I do my inner city range test, I don't drive for 100 kilometers at a time because I don't think that reflects a normal use case. So I take breaks, and I took a break that was apparently too long, and I should have taken that into consideration. I should have reset a different trip computer. Furthermore, I was quite sick for a couple of days and I couldn't really get in the car and drive. So I have to apologize for that. It's not up to me. Sometimes these things happen. So from what I could gather during my time with the car, and I'll show you my trip computer right now, the inner city consumption will probably be around between 18.5 and 20 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers covered. Let me show you something. So these are the results I got driving around town today, just at doing some trips around town for various business purposes and so on. So I covered 23 kilometers with an average speed of 25 kilometers an hour, and the average energy consumption is 20.9. So what I should point out is that the Audi Q4 e-Tron 50 got about 18.6 around town, and it's basically the same car but with different roofline. You'll find that in the table I'm gonna attach in my description. You'll find the results I got with that car, which is basically the same as this car, the same 300 horsepower drivetrain and so on. So I'm guessing real life energy consumption will be between 20 and 18.5 inside the city for the ID.5 GTX, which is along the lines of what I was expecting anyway. So that will give you a range of over 350 kilometers with a single charge, which is really nice. So that said, yeah, these are the numbers I got with the car. I hope you guys can find some useful information in this. If you did, leave a comment in the comment section below telling me, listen, I found this useful, I'm not gonna buy a car based on this video and so on. So that's what I got. Stay tuned for the full review, which is coming in about a week, and don't forget to feed your passions. Ciao.